Hey girly, how we doing? Hope you're doing amazing today. Golf is one of the oldest sports in the world. My spidey senses are tingling and they're telling me that you think that it's just a sport played by senile old men who have no body coordination, but actually you're wrong. You're wrong because there's a whole, there's the Epsom Tour, there's the Corn Ferry Tour, there's a Live Golf, there's the PGA, there's so many. There's college golf. There's a lot of people that play golf that are not old and they're actually young, and there's girlies that play golf too. You're represented, I'm sure. So let's get into it. I have my field notes. And let's start. Let a girly teach you about golf, girly, okay? Because I assure you, you're gonna. In the Big 26, stereotyping sports is not cool. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's alright. The easiest way to explain golf is to explain it as if I'm explaining it to a 5-year-old. Basically, a player has a variety of 14 clubs in their bag, and they have to use those clubs on a golf course in order to hit a little white golf ball, you've probably seen it everywhere, little white golf ball into the cup of that hole in the least amount of strokes that they can. Different clubs have different purposes, so why don't we start with the first one. This one might be a bit of working backwards, I think, because people usually explain we start off with the putter. The putter is the club that you use on the green, or like the area of mowed grass at the end of a golf hole that is around the flagstick or cup. And you use the putter to hit the ball, to roll it into the cup. And that's basically what the putter does. All the putter does. It's pretty simple. Not too much. It doesn't go in the air. You're not supposed to hit it in the air. It has no, angle or whatever on it. And that's the putter, basically. Next, we have the irons. The irons are clubs that will basically be used after you hit your first shot when you're on the fairway and you're hitting an approach shot. An approach shot in golf is basically just your second shot that you're hitting to try and either get closer to the green or get on the green, depending on, where you are. So there's different types of irons. There's a pitching wedge or a 10 iron. Most people call it a pitching wedge. There's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 irons. Those are usually the standard ones that you see a lot of golfers, like pros or just normal golfers, put in their bag. And basically, the lower the number, the farther the club's gonna go. Everyone will have roughly different club distances that based on how far your swing speed is and other factors about your body. So it's kind of different to everyone, basically. So distances for irons will be different for everyone. Now, there are 4, 3, 2, 1 irons because when you go from 10 to 5, the shafts get a little longer, club heads get a little more angled straight. The 4, 3, 2, 1 irons have longer shafts, they have less of a loft. So a loft is basically, imagine the club, I'll put a photo up there, but imagine the club is like this. And basically, there's a lot of loft on this because if this is the edge of the club, then you can get under the golf ball, essentially. So if you go pitching a wedge and then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, it gets more straighter, less angled. So it's essentially harder to hit the ball up in the air that way. So most people usually just stick from 10 to 5 iron, and they will basically not use a 4 to 1 iron. They will usually replace those with Woods are basically clubs with bigger club heads, longer shafts. They're less forgiving when you hit them, which means if you don't hit them on the face of the club and you hit them way off somewhere or you just hit it in a weird spot, then you're really not going to be forgiving that ball that may be gone. It's really not. So that's what woods are. Hybrids, on the other hand, are basically a combination of irons and woods, and they're more forgiving to hit. I'm going to use that a lot, but it just means they're easier to hit as a club, unlike what I was saying before, like shorter shafts, smaller club heads, much easier to hit. Woods are for like maximum distance, even though they're harder to hit. Hybrids will still give you a lot of that distance, but not as far as a wood. So it really depends on how you want to customize your bag, because as a golfer, there's a lot of leeway you have, even though clubs are expensive, to customize your experience, customize how you want to play, because you don't need to have this many irons in your bag, and you don't need to have like this and this. So that's mostly everything about that. After that, we have the big boy, the big Bertha, whatever you want to call that big guy. The driver. The driver. The driver is the biggest club in your bag. He's a little fatty, I know. Anyway, basically, he's just for maximum distance off of the tee box. Maximum distance off of the tee box. Most of the time on the tee box, you will be using the driver. When I explain stuff later, you understand. Most of the time, you will be using your driver off the tee. It's basically for like maximum distance. Again, there's different heads and shafts or whatever, but most people have driver, putter, and those irons. And it's like standard, like not too complicated, just like basic stuff. But wait, what about the wedges? The wedges are usually a club that has a lot of loft on it, the thing I was explaining earlier, and they're used to chip around the green. Chip shots are very short golf shots you hit around the green. They're basically like, if you hit an approach shot, remember that vocab word I just told you, girl, don't forget stuff. If you hit that approach shot and it ends up like a little bit before the green, that's when you would chip with a 60-degree wedge, a 56-degree wedge, or a 54-degree. Those are like the main three wedges. There might be different ones. I have no clue right now. But those are the main three. Those are the big ones. And so golfers will have different preferences. For example, when you're in a sand bunker, it's basically just like a kind of crevice or like concave area that has sand in it, and it's like a hazard. It's just supposed to make the golf course harder. So usually people hit a 60-degree or a 56-degree out of sand bunkers. It really depends. It's a lot of personal preference stuff, which is really nice. So I talked about tee boxes earlier a little bit, I think. How there's red, white, blue, and black. Red, the furthest. Basically the furthest in front of the tee boxes. Black, the furthest back of the tee boxes. Basically, when you're hitting off of the tee, you will usually use a tee to hit the ball. Like, you tee up the ball. It's like a literal thing. You put this tee in the ground with the ball on it. Height doesn't matter. Usually at least 2 club lengths back from the actual tee box. The tee box will have different markers. Usually it's like a little wood thing or just something sticking out of the ground. You will tee up the ball like roughly anywhere 2 club lengths behind. Doesn't have to be exactly. And that's how you usually hit the ball off the hole. And you do that for every single hole, essentially. When playing like in a quote-unquote formal match, I guess, your ball has to be marked in some way. The way I do it is I usually use some kind of Sharpie and draw some kind of line around the ball, usually with a guide, less messy than this. If you go out of bounds or something, then you can't find the ball. That's a 1-stroke penalty. If you think your ball went out of bounds and you want to hit another ball, that's called a provisional. It basically means you're hitting another ball because you think your ball went out of bounds, and if you find your ball, then you don't have to play the provisional. If you don't find your ball, you just continue playing your provisional for the rest of the hole. So there's also different types of penalties. Depending on courses, some courses have like weird penalty rules, but there's Editor Sana here because past Sana did not explain a yellow and red penalty well at all. So we're cutting the video off there. So I will put the definitions up on the other side of the screen and still have graphics, but I'm going to explain it in a way that's a little easier to understand. Both yellow and red penalties are defined by like stakes. There's a yellow stake for a yellow penalty, and there's a red stake for a red penalty. The red and yellow penalties, yellow and red penalties are mostly the same. There's a few caveats, like one big caveat, I guess. So starting off with the yellow penalties. So basically when you go into a hazard area with a yellow penalty, you can, of course, play the ball from where it is, from where it lies. Like, don't take the stroke. But you can also go back and play the ball from the previous spot, which will take time. So for pace of play, it isn't the most desirable thing to do. But you can also play the ball. It's like the ball on the line. That's what it's called. When you play the ball on the line, what you're doing is from where the ball is and the spot it's at, you make an imaginary line standing like straight behind the ball from the ball to the hole. And once you have that line, you can basically put the ball like anywhere on that line. So that's yellow penalties. With red penalties, again, you can play the ball as it lies. You can play it from the previous spot, but you can also play the ball like you can drop it laterally, which means wherever the ball entered the penalty area from whatever direction, roughly, doesn't have to be exact, from whatever direction the ball entered the penalty area, you will basically take a club, you literally take a club and you line the club up and you like drop it like 1 club length, you flip the tip over 2 club lengths back, and you can drop it like anywhere in that area. So that's the difference, like the main difference between red and yellow penalties. Not in any particular order. So, back to the video. Just depends, but usually penalty stuff is the same. You don't have to get too much into it if you're following the lax golf rules. For removable obstructions, man-made or not man-made, usually if it's man-made or if it's like, I guess like really watery mulch, not mulch, but grass, you'll get relief. If it's like a fence or something, you can just like drop back from it. If it's immovable, but it's like natural, usually you don't typically get the relief to like move it away from it. So usually if you have some space, you can try hit it out, but it really just depends. Another thing is fixing your marks. So after you hit a divot on the golf course, this is also kind of etiquette. A divot is basically, after you hit the ball, there will be like a little mark in the ground of where the grass like got pushed up because you hit that ball. Basically, what you do is you usually take this kind of sand thing, or you just grab the piece of grass and you just like replace it, step on it back where it is, just to kind of help protect the course. Also, talking more about the etiquette side, be respectful of other people. Don't stand behind other people in their line of sight. don't yap when other people are hitting their balls because it's mean and it can make them lose focus. I've had girls do that. It's not been fun. So really just staying silent when you can be silent, talking when you want to talk. Be respectful of other people. Don't be obnoxious, and don't like try and destroy the courses like those like absolute rage bait Instagram reels I keep seeing. Like Shane O Golfs talked about how there's like kids that just like tear up golf courses, and it's like, what do you do? What is wrong with you? Get a life. So there's that. That's mostly it, I think. So fun stuff. And that's like the basis of it, basically. Now, also, along with like scoring in golf, there is this thing called a par. You basically have this thing on holes called the target score, or the target score, the expected score is called a par. There's 3 different types of pars: pars 3, 4, and 5. So par 3 is like you get to the hole in 3 strokes and finish it in 3 strokes, and then like par 4 and 5 are the same. So those are the like expected or target scores on each of the holes. Usually there will be 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s, and 10 par 4s on a golf course, which can be in any... It can be in any order they want, honestly. You can start a golf course with a par 5, and then you can have like a par 3, and like you can start, put them however you want. The whole layout will be different. Not every golf course is the same, but that's usually how it is. So in total, usually golf courses will be par 70 to 72, depending on... There's still a bit of leeway. That's mostly it. Then also, like, I talked about shooting under. Par is like the average. Par is even, basically. So if you shoot a birdie, that's 1 under. An eagle is 2 under. And then I think it's an albatross is 3 under. And an ace is a hole-in-one. Then if we're going up, a bogey is 1 over. So that would be, if I'm on a par 5 and I shoot a bogey, that's like a 6. And if I shoot like 2 over, if I shoot a double bogey, then like on a par 5 and I shoot like 7, right? So bogeys are higher. We don't want bogeys. Bogeys are bad. Bogeys are bad. So, yeah. Also, another thing is whenever you are golfing and you think you like hit your ball and you think you're hitting it towards someone, just yell "4" really loud. FORE. It just signals that a ball might come to them and hit them. It's just a safety thing. Whatever. That's the gist. And now it's time for our special segment. Rapid fire vocab. Let's go. A mulligan. It's not the same thing as a provisional. It's basically when you don't like your second shot, you want to hit it again, and if you find your second shot or whatever, your approach, then the mulligan just doesn't apply. Shank it. If you shank it, you just hit it really low in the ground and it doesn't go very far. No good. Hook. It's basically, so this, I'm speaking in terms of being a right-handed golfer. If you hook it, you hit it really hard from right to left. You hit it bad in the face, right to left. Slice is the opposite, it's left to right. The rough grass, basically, usually around the green. The fairway is like more flat than the rough. The rough is also on the sides of the fairway. The break of the green also had to do with putting. The break of the green is basically when you are... It's basically the way the green slopes towards the hole or away from the hole, and golfers have to look at the green and look at the break of the green and decide what angle or direction they want to hit that ball. Pretty simple. And then we have like uphill and downhill lies. So basically, an uphill lie is a lie that is up on a hill, so the ball will be here. The base of the hill is here. Downhill lie is basically the ball will be at the base of the hill, so you have to stand on the hill down. And that's, honestly, that's like basically it. Yeah, like that's basically it. There really isn't that much. There are other caveats and rules, but if you're like a casual golfer, if you just want to know about it casually, then like those. Yeah.